On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, range updates, police patches, DOE subguns, and Saddleback leather. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is episode 405 of the John1911 Podcast. Today is Monday, June the 8th at 7:50 a.m. I'm actually in the office today, and it's going to be a solo episode, and I'm going to go ahead and do this one before people start showing up here. So I'm just drinking some coffee and kind of going to get back in the swing of things. We haven't put a podcast out in a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, it's because I've been extremely busy. Some stuff has come up, but I mean, nothing bad, but there's been a lot going on. So I guess the first thing is I am back in town. So that is worth, some explanation. And while I was gone, and then in combination with how wet it's been here in the Midwest in the Ohio River Valley, I've had kind of I guess it's almost like an emergency. Like we've got to get the range cut and ready, for the spring. I mean, because it's summer. But I mean, it was so wet we couldn't get back there to do a lot of the stuff. So I guess the first thing that I haven't addressed it on podcast is the what I call the Bullseye range is now operational and fully functional. So the Bullseye range is officially it's a 25-yard range. It's right up there by the barn. You've seen some pictures on social media, like in the videos where I'm shooting it. You can see the barn in the background. It's right by the front porch. So this range accomplishes a couple things. The first thing is it enables the ability to just step out of the barn just to shoot something, into the ground. That, we could always do that. There's the backside of a berm there and everything. But, having a bench up there already set at 25 yards, having a target backer, that was the biggest thing, was having a target backer set up there, because we get so much wind because that part of the property is so high. I mean, we're straight over the Ohio River at that point, that if we just used, on most days, if I just try to have an IDPA cardboard target stand up there, it's blowing around or moving. And if I'm trying to shoot something for even moderate accuracy, I don't really get a true reading. So, we kind of had to figure out how to put a backer up there. But then the backer also has to be removable so we can cut the backside of that berm with a tractor and all that. So officially the range is 25 yards. In theory, I mean, I could probably back it up to 200. It might, it'd put us pretty close to the road. We already get a decent amount of road noise up there, especially in the summer, because we're the John1911 range is out. Where there's people want to come out there and drive their sports cars, or go on bikers. Will ride some of those backcountry roads. So in my opinion, it's not the greatest place to film, but it is a place that we can do some quick and dirty stuff. It also accomplishes another solution to another problem that I have at the range. So, and that basically is the pit and the rifle range are so basically together that it's difficult if either the pit or the rifle range have to be closed because of maintenance, or if there's a group down there shooting, that it's really not conducive. Like, let's say if staff members want to shoot, just do something while other people are down on the rifle range, having to go down in the pit, get near them. You can't really shoot steel down there in the pit effectively. I mean, you can, but in certain directions you can't while people are shooting on the rifle range. Just, I wouldn't want spall flying around and all that. So it enables me to shut down the main ranges, but still have a place that we can shoot, or it's a backup range if, there's people shooting on the range, or let's just say there's 2 feet of snow, or there's, a monsoon or a hurricane comes through, and, so we have another range where we can do some stuff. So that is it may not seem like a big deal to you, and that's why I keep kind of going on about it, which I apologize, but I love it. I love having this little backup range up there, and finally I can do some stuff. Now, as far as range maintenance, we are we've been hitting it pretty hard. There, we've got basically, I'm trying to think if there's one target that is borderline, not really quite open, but everything else from the rifle range, 600 yards, is cut and open. But what we've also done is we've had to have some meetings. We chose to do this, by the way. The state isn't forcing us to do this. I have reached out to the state to see if we can't institute a program for, I don't know what they call it, like, I'm going to call it wildflowers. So it's kind of come to, you cut and you cut and you cut. And I don't mind cutting, but I'm realizing too, especially now that we have a big tractor, that there's some areas that I don't have to cut them all the time, because with the old equipment, it used to be that if I let stuff go too long, trees or large bushes would grow to the point that the old equipment couldn't get through it. Well, now with, the giant tractor and the bush hog and everything and all that stuff, I mean, in theory, we could come through every couple of years and cut things. Well, I started realizing, it's like, well, I'm looking at the range and I'm looking at the airspace and how bullets fly. And I'm like, I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of wasted space out there. And so I've engaged the county and the state. Incidentally, it's all women, to come in and advise us on doing the wildflower pollinator, whatever program, up to and including controlled burns. I've been, kind of mulling this over for a year, but, when I approached the county and, and told them what I wanted to do, and they were like, well, how many acres are you thinking? Because they do these little things for, like, people come in, they put these flowers in their yards, and, like the biggest thing they've ever had, I think they've done like an acre, the county. So I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm like, conservatively, at least 15 acres. They're like, holy shit. I shouldn't say that. They're like, holy crap. And so they're like, we're going to have to call so-and-so from the state. So, come down, and we're going to work on a master plan on, what's possible and what we can do. And some of the interesting things, not only is it the rifle range, but I could even, when you start thinking about this, I could even institute this wildflower program on the berms, because when you think about having a burn program, heat rises. So if you start a fire at the bottom of a hill, it tends to rise to the top of the hill, unless there's like wind really pushing it. So it makes sense to me, we're still working with the state on this, that instead of running tractors and equipment on some of these really tall ass berms to keep trees and stuff off of them, we could do a burn program on these berms. So, like, because you got to have something on the berms or they'll erode, like heavy rain and all that. So we've been working with them in that, and that's taken a little bit more time again, because you're dealing with bureaucracies. But basically, how I keep it working is we get to a point, we hit a bureaucratic bottleneck, and they all start going, what about this or this and this and this? And then I just go, all right, how much is this going to cost? Just pay. We're just going to buy what we need here and just move forward. And so that kind of keeps things. So that's where we're at with the range stuff. A couple things, I guess I'll get some tractor updates. There is there's a new piece of equipment that we have bought for the range, and I haven't put it on the internet yet. It is, I'm going to call it a spreader, and it looks like a giant. It looks like a giant funnel, like a giant like oil cone, and it goes on the back of the tractor, and we're going to use it for various things. So We could use it for seeding. We could use it for fertilizer. Maybe we could use it for spreading wildflower things, or I don't even know how that works. So haven't quite talked to them about that yet. The other thing, the big thing this year, why we got it, is we're going to aggressively institute an anti-tick program on the range. Obviously, if you've been following the news, you've seen all the stuff with the ticks. Now, I will tell you this: I've been hearing from locals, at the John1911 range, not where the office is, but at the range, where for a couple of years now, oh yeah, so and so has that disease where you can't eat red meat, or so and so has that alpha gal, and I've been hearing this for a couple of years, and now it's finally becoming this national, crisis, and I don't have an opinion either way at this point on this. What I now know it as alpha gal, like everybody else, because it's in the news, but I've been kind of staring down this for a while, Lyme disease and this alpha gal, because the ticks can be kind of rough. I've noticed the past couple years. Last year I did a good job knocking them back with this product that we buy. It's like this granule stuff we put down, and it really, it knocks the hell out of them. Like, you don't even see any of them. But, it's like, I can do the pit, and I can do around the shooting position, and I can do around the barn and the parking area, but I'm, using a little hand spreader and trying not to breathe this stuff in. Well, the reality is, going down there and administering targets at 100 out to 600, going down the trails. It's like, we gotta figure something out here. Am I going to put a spreader on the back of the General, the UTV, or am I going to put a spreader on the back of the tractor? I was going to do the General because I thought it would just be easier, because putting stuff on the back of the tractor, because the tractor, it's a 3-point hitch, means I got to take something else off. But I was looking at all the spreader options for the UTVs, and they just seem kind of cheap and chintzy. I've never actually measured the rifle range proper, but it's got to be, the rifle range itself has got to be close to 20 acres. Just to even, like, not only the range you see, but the trails to administer it that you don't see off to the right and the left. That's still part of the rifle range, and some of these smaller little spreaders, they're just not going to cut it. You're going to spend $300, $400, $500 or more on these things. And I'm going to be back in the same boat I was with the original pull behind bush hog that I was running on the UTV. So it's like, nope, we're going to get this big ass giant spreader. So we are buying this anti-tick granule stuff in bulk, and we've had to talk to whatever about it, because if you have, depending on who I'm talking to, I have to describe the range in different ways, because if I don't, it causes confusion. So when I'm talking to certain people, I describe it as, obviously, it's a rifle range or recreational property if I don't want to tell them it's a gun range. Other people, I can describe it as a farm. Well, what instantly happened in wanting to buy all this bulk tick stuff and a farm, it's like, well, the tick stuff that I'm choosing to use is not approved by the FDA or the Farm Bureau, or both, for use with grazing animals. It's like, whoa, we don't have that. No, we're going to use this. So we've been getting some of that together. I've had some help with that. And we're going to be putting it down with the tractor. And because the tractor's sealed with it's sealed for rain, and it's got an AC system in it with filters, I can put a couple 100 pounds of stuff at a time in this giant oil funnel looking thing on the back of the tractor, and don't have to breathe any of it in. Or try not to breathe any of it in, or even have it get on me. So that's a big win, and you'll see some pictures of that on the website as we're going forward with tractor updates. And then the last thing I'm going to say about the tractor is I'm going to mention this here on the podcast. I haven't even broached it on social media yet. I haven't even approached the manufacturer of this product. But everyone knows I love the Lane Shark, which is the little bush hog that goes into the air on the front of the tractor. It's like this safety orange color looking thing, or fluorescent yellow, or whatever you want to call it, or safety green, fluorescent yellow. I haven't had my second cup of coffee yet. Well, we've had an incident with the Lane Shark on the property. I'm not going to go into details about it yet, and I'm going to be reaching out to the Lane Shark, but it was so significant that I'm probably going to have to put it on social media. So, but I'm going to definitely talk to Lane Shark about it first before I do that. So those of you that are interested in Lane Sharks, I still love the thing. You may find it interesting. And those of you that are, opposed to Lane Sharks, you will absolutely find it interesting. So, give me about a week or so to get that onto the website, because I want to try to get more gun stuff on the website, and, stay tuned on that. And I guess on a personal note, before I get into the gun things, some traveling, and I had some stuff kind of happen, over the past about month. I've had some travels, and I'm a very, I'll call it expeditionary person. I'm fairly mobile, and I realize there's a need to upgrade some of my daily like luggage carry, like I don't know, carry on and or my briefcase. So it's not really something I generally would talk about for John 1911, but I decided. I found I needed a bigger briefcase, and if you don't know this, John 1911 is an entity, in essence, functions out of my briefcase. Like right now, like I'm in an office, but really John 1911 is the briefcase that's sitting next to me, next to this chair on the floor. The computer, the notes, the corporate paperwork, to-do lists, podcast information, outlines, everything. It's all, the microphones, headphone, all that kind of stuff goes in this briefcase. So I've been, running the same briefcases for 20 some years, and oh shit, it might be 30. Is it 30 years? No, it can't be. Oh, let me think. Hold on. Wow. Almost 30 years. And so to the point where Toomey is kind of like what I use. I even had Toomey luggage years ago, but I eventually wear the stuff out. I wore Toomey briefcase out, have to get a second one like in 30 years. And I just got this second replacement Toomey briefcase just a couple of 3 or 4 years ago. It's not going to be big enough anymore. And so I've discovered this product called Saddleback leather. I posted a picture of it on our social media. It's obviously leather. I avoided leather for a long time. It is kind of heavy. But I mean, the reality is I'm a big guy and I work out. So, it's not that big of a deal for me. And I'm not hiking with my briefcase up Mount Kilimanjaro. Not that I couldn't, because I certainly could, because it's not that heavy. It just adds, a little bit of weight, but it's real thick leather, and it's actually kind of interesting stuff. So the briefcase went over so well because I just tried it, that I went also and got, I guess they call it some kind of duffel bag, or so like a little carry-on with side pockets. And so, maybe I'll post some more stuff about that if people are interested on social media. That's more, more like not gun kind of personal stuff, and some of those people that gets a little, it's like knife dudes, they get a little fetishy with that kind of thing. And again, I'm a user, not I've had a Saddleback bag now for like 3 weeks. Okay. So it's like, I'm not Mr. Saddleback, but I've noticed like that entire genre of people, like it's pretty fetishy. Like there's people there, like, they own, I have like 150 saddlebags. Like, okay, I don't know why you need 150 Saddleback bags, but I'm sure there's people that don't understand, why I would want to have 150 guns. So I'm not trying to be critical. It's just not that interesting to me. But, if it's something you're interested in, um, you know, bags and uh, pencils. Yeah, I'm a pencil guy. Most probably don't even know that. I'm a pencil, not a pen guy. That kind of stuff. Maybe I'll do a little um, lifestyle video on some of that stuff every once in a while on our social media if I get positive feedback from you here. And on a final note, before guns, that might have been the second final note. I want to say thank you. I've got a hold of the person who sent over the latest person to send over his department patch. Good looking patch. I didn't want to say your name. Didn't want to show the patch. It was weird. I could find your account on social media, but I couldn't open it, or I couldn't send you a message. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, I don't, did you get blocked? But anyway, excuse me, you reached out, and, so it's all good. And so I'll say that to say this: if you're out there and you're inclined to send a unit patch, or department patch, or PD or SO, we'd love to have them. But they go up on a board at the range barn, and so any visiting police departments or police officers will see your patch. We're not going to post it on social media. About 30% of the folks that have sent us stuff have requested that we not put it on social media, and so we've just basically instituted a policy that we're never going to, because I can't keep it all straight, so we're just not going to show your patches. But if you're inclined to send one, love to have them. I'm telling you what, every time a patch shows up, I don't know why, I just get tickled to death. I think it's the greatest thing. I just love, I just think it's neat. The folks out there who consume John 1911 content, police officers. And I've told a story about how I feel, kind of why, I'm very pro police. And I kind of had to make a decision on that. And, so yeah, how that started and how that story started, I'm not going to revisit it here, and how we've ended up with all these patches from various federal, state, county, local, township, city PDs, at the John 97 range. I think it's neat. Every time I walk into the range barn, I see that board. It's right by the front door. I just get a little, I don't know, it just makes me feel good. I like it. I will say this. I've only had one local PD give me a patch. So all the other PDs, some of them I haven't seen really in a while, but like we talk. I mean, looking pretty light for the locals. So I'm just saying, no pressure, but yeah, there's some pressure. Like, it's looking pretty light for some of the PDs, cities, and one SWAT team. Come on now. Come on, guys. Help a brother out. It's now become a competition to put on that board, in the range barn. So, all right, we're going to get off that, and let's get into actual gun stuff. First things first, the Harrington and Richard Department of Energy AR-15 9mm pistols. We have started putting some of this on social media. I've done some camera testing, function testing of the DOE gun. That's what I call it, the DOE gun. And then some camera testing, trying to set up the Bullseye camera, because we spent some money to try to have a better Bullseye camera set up. And I can very easily test it at 25 yards, but it'll work out to 600. So we got a video on that. I actually said something on that video that was not true, but I'm not going to go back and re-edit and republish the video. I said, quote, I've never fired a 9mm AR-15 before. And I realized after I edited the video and published it, that is absolutely not true. So that is a lie. It wasn't a lie, it was a mistake, but still, it was wrong. I don't know if it was in the late 80s, no, very, very early 90s. I still have one of the magazines. I had an Olympic Arms 9mm AR-15. It was like a full length, whatever thing. You didn't have pistols back then, really. And what they used to do is, I think it was Sten mags, and they would weld a block on the back of the Sten mag as a spacer, so it would use a standard AR-15, magazine, tunnel, magwell, and it was a big kludge. And I guess they're direct blowback, but I still have one of the magazines, but I got rid of that gun years ago. But shooting the DOE gun's kind of cool because it's a little shorter and handier. Now, I will say this, and I knew this was going to be true. It doesn't look like it recoils a lot on video, and it doesn't. But when you're trying to hold a sight picture, especially front sight and a rear sight, front sight post and the rear peep, things moving around quite a bit. And so I was trying to do doubles on a head, and I could keep most of them on the head. If I missed, it was just off the outline of the head on the target. There was one, but on a human, it would still hit the head, but a miss is a miss. But as soon as you shoot that thing, you can absolutely see a lot of the appeal for the roller delayed like MP5 guns. I think there's some people out there I may have seen where they're putting in hydraulic buffers or heavier buffer weights, or I don't know, maybe they're lightening the bolt and they're putting a heavier buffer. I don't know what they're doing. But if you have any feedback on something like that, I wouldn't be opposed to at least looking at possibly upgrading that DOE gun as far as, the recoil impulse, just to see if I could maximize it a little bit. I don't want to chase function, and I don't want to spend as much money as I spent on the gun. I don't know if it's going to be worth it. So, but if there's something casual out there, that I could just buy and drop in the gun that makes a huge difference, and I just don't know what it is, leave in the comments below or send me an email, podcast@John1911.com, and I'll look into it. Now, as far as that gun is concerned, and I haven't shown it yet on social media, but we've already started trying to put together a way to put a red dot on that gun. I don't know if I'm going to put an FRT in it, but I will tell you that gun is absolutely ripe for an FRT. Especially if you could get the recoil impulse, the sight picture to stay a little bit more steady. But the little 9mm sub guns, AR-15 with an FRT in it could be interesting. Especially if it's not a lot of money, whatever. Again, I don't know about the long-term durability of FRTs, but it is what it is. But what we've done is we sourced a surplus gooseneck mount, where it goes into the carry handle. The DOE gun we bought, if you haven't seen it, has an AR-15 like A1 style carry handle. Then it comes forward and drops down, and there's a space over the forend or the handguard to mount some kind of optic. And so I don't really have an optic that is really period correct for that kind of gun. So I've got a giant Comp M2. I don't remember what that optic is. I've also got a a Aimpoint H1. Most of you probably don't even know what that is. When the T1s first came out, there was a cheaper version called the H1, and the H1 I think didn't have any settings for like night vision. Were ideal. You could think, I don't know if that would be, you could make an argument that maybe you should have a red dot that's night vision compatible with a little 9mm subgun. But, hey, look, I'm just going to be shooting it on the range, probably during the day, even though I have shot it at night, which you haven't seen. I don't know. What would you recommend? What kind of red dot would you recommend I put on that gun? I don't know what's considered correct or period correct. Again, I don't want to, if it's some kind of rare and crazy Crare. If it's some kind of Crare aim point or red dot that's like thousands of dollars and is super fragile and you have to get in a bidding war to pick one up from somebody, I'm probably not going to be a player in that. So if there's a modern red dot that you think would work aesthetically well on that gun, or think would just be, even good work utilitarian wise on that gun, leave in the comments below, or if it's something private, send me, podcast at John1911.com and we'll run it down. And I'm definitely going to be shooting more of that gun, just for fun. And, I'm going to start filming all of it. I guess special mention needs to be stated. Before I bought the H&R gun, what actually started me on this process, it was on the long-term to buy list, but what I really wanted is Rock River Arms had put out they were doing a special. They were blowing these out. They were calling them retro A1 SBRs. So Rock River Arms was selling an SBR, a little A1 9mm SBR. I'm pretty sure it was 9mm. Yeah, it was a 9mm SBR. And it just looked like a little A1 AR-15. And it was like, that's pretty cool. And I don't own any Rock River Arm guns. And I was like, I'm going to get one of those. And I went around to just a couple days and they were all gone. And I was like, So kind of got frustrated. And so ended up kind of going to a backup thing. And then I was like, oh, there's the DOE guns. I've already committed to spending the money. So went ahead and picked up one of the DOE guns instead. So I will also say this, because this hasn't come up. I haven't done a podcast since then. The, what are they? Let me look it up real quick. What's it actually called? It's called the T48. I was going to call it the T44, but I guess it's the T48. The other Harrington and Richardson FAL limited program that, hold on one second, I had to clear my throat, I apologize, that Harrington and Richardson had teamed up with, I assume it's a DSA, to do an FAL, and we had published about it on social media, and it's a limited run. If you're familiar with this gun, it's a prototype that was submitted to the U.S. Army as a possible battle rifle replacement for the M1 Garand, but the M14 ended up winning, which a lot of people, I agree, that the T48 was a better gun. Excuse me. T48 was a better gun, but it had some stuff that was unique to any other FAL. Had a stripper guide and this wood furniture. I mean, wood furniture is not that unique, but it had some stuff that was unique to this gun. And H&R was selling them. And I was like, I was kind of circling them a little bit. I thought, I started realizing they're probably going to be too expensive. Well, anyway, I set my alarm. I was literally, I think I was cutting. I was on the tractor and my alarm went off for the time that it dropped. And I'm in the tractor and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the website. So I went to the website and there were 2 T48 FALs for sale from Harrington and Richardson. There's the regular one, I think it was like $3,400, and then right next to it was a blem option for like $3,000. And I was like, holy crap. So went to go buy the blem, put it in the cart, do the checkout, and then I don't know if the website crashed or it just was because everybody was hitting it. So I mean, like, it was $430 was the drop. I had this in my car. I had this in a cart, the blem, probably by $432, $433 at the latest. And well, it kind of got hung up. Cloudflare screen came up and I made a mistake. I refreshed the screen and it released it. And I lost it. I went to go and it was gone. So I went over and I was like, oh fuck. So now I'm like a gambler chasing his losses, which is always kind of, like a dangerous thing, like on auctions and buying guns. Because the logic you tell yourself is, I've already committed to spending this. So if I just spend a little bit more, I can get the other one. Like, I'm already committed. It's not that much more, and that's how you end up with a reference collection. So anyway, so I was like, oh crap, I know I'm gonna have to buy the other one. So it was in stock, and I grabbed it, put it in the cart, and as soon as I went to check out, it was no longer in stock. So I don't know if I assumed if it was in the cart, it was mine to check out with, but maybe that's not how it works. So all of a sudden, bam, bam, no T48. So it's like, I don't need you anyway. So, I'll go buy something else. So it turns out they're going to do some more. And the reason, I'm going to go ahead and say this, degenerate, gun collector. Do I need a T48? No. And I don't mean it like, like I'm making commentary on the FAL. I actually don't own a 7.62 caliber FAL gun, which is going to probably surprise a lot of you. I've just put it off. I don't know what I want. I've got a 5.56 FAL, which gun is a riot. And actually, if you look at the FAL, the original FAL as it was designed for an intermediate cartridge. Was it 280 or whatever it was called? It was designed for an intermediate cartridge. And then, they had to beef it up because NATO is going to do this 7.62 NATO cartridge. And so the gun got a lot bigger and heavier. But I am telling you, dude, like the intermediate cartridge FAL is, that is the shit. Like that is, I'm telling you that gun is the shit. So anyway, I've got a 5.56. I don't have a 7.62. It's like, I don't know, what should I get? The regular one, the original ones, DSA makes them. FAL ones are super expensive, or FN ones are super expensive. And again, those, they get into like, there's this .50, point whatever, like, and I don't know one from the other, like what I'm looking at or why. It's like, well, the Israelis brought some in that had, or there were some kits that were put together, had wood furniture on the front and, heavy barrel. Don't really need the heavy barrel. I'm going to shoot drills with it. Am I going to tear it up, scratch it up? That was an issue thinking about the T48 with all that wood furniture. There's even a risk with the T48 from H&R. They've got that winter trigger guard where the trigger, the trigger guard folds down into the grip, which is kind of cool. But what that does is it makes the grip, because it's wood, and it basically hollows out the middle of this grip, and it makes the grip not as sturdy as it was as a regular, solid grip. And so if I'm actually going to be using this gun and running around with it, as the gun ages, am I going to crack this grip or damage it? Then it's like, well, maybe this T48 clone isn't the most practical thing for me. Maybe I should get a regular FAL. So it's like, well, do I want a regular one with iron sights? Do I want a modernized one? Maybe I could put red dot on it. Maybe there's some kind of options. I get an older format one, but then I go with Stormworks and just put some kind of little modification to it. And then there's like, well, maybe I want one that's Rhodesian, like the baby poop paint. Like, I've just kind of like, the FALs just kind of swirl on my head like a tornado. I don't really know what I want. It's too many options. So, that's where I'm at with the FAL and the T48. But I did try to buy one. I got my ass kicked on it. To the victor goes the spoils. I hope you guys shoot them and enjoy them. I'll make some kind of T48 decision here at some point. If you got one, send me some pictures. Maybe I'll post it on. I will absolutely. If you have one, when it arrives, send me some pictures. I'd love to have pictures for the website, because I don't have a lot of FAL content for the website. I can do it as a guest post or publish it under, my name, my byline, and just give you credit, whatever you prefer. We can even hide your identity. We can even get rid of your serial numbers. I can do whatever you want. Yeah. So if you got one, want to send pictures of your baby, podcast at John1911.com, podcast at John1911.com, and we'll get it figured out. So Mongo sent me this, and I think Mongo sent me this, or maybe I sent it to him. Ian McCollum did a video, And obviously Ian McCollum's known as the big French collector. I'm realizing I wonder if Buddy Hinton would take exception to that phrase. But anyway, we'll say Ian McCollum is the big French guy that most of you know. And he did a video flat out saying that there is an American company, he even named the company, that is making FAMAS receivers. And is like, that's interesting because some FAMAS parts kits have been coming in, and it's like, well, okay, that's, I don't know what the stuff's going to ultimately be, but if I've always wanted a FAMAS, but they getting to be so high. I also want one of those PE57s, the Sturm STG 57 Sturmgewehrs. Again, it has nothing to do with FAMAS, but neither here nor there. Mostly parts kits with American-made receivers to get these done. So if you're in the world of FAMAS and you want one of these guns, these parts kits were pretty. I mean, these parts kits I think were over $10,000. I mean, just for the parts kits, like they were way up there. I think, yeah, because I mean, I don't know. Okay, maybe I got that wrong. Maybe they were $7,000 or $8,000. But I mean, it was a lot of money for a parts kit. That's not a machine gun, I mean, that's not like a belt fed or something like giant. So I thought that was interesting. You could start seeing more FAMAS stuff coming into the U.S. And then also, since we're talking about Ian McCollum, he said this, and I was like, well, I mean, I think he is kind of, I mean, he's right. He stated fact. There's some company, maybe in Iowa, there's some company in the United States, a small importer that I've never heard of, that petitioned the ATF to have Valmet guns, semi-automatic, but Valmet guns put on the CNR list, the Curated Relic list. And so if it's a CNR item, I guess it can be imported. I didn't really know this. Like, I never thought about it. But if it's on the CNR list, it can be imported irrespective of the 89 import ban. And so, and I've noticed that there have been more and more Valmet guns for sale on the market. Some have popped up here locally. Definitely see them on Gunbroker. You see some of the sporterized guns. I don't mean like the sporterized AK looking guns. I mean like the hunting guns even. But definitely like the was it RK71, the semi-automatic ones in 5.56. We've got one of the original imports, but these are coming in apparently as CNR guns, and so I just didn't realize that that was a thing. So I wonder what's going to happen with magazines. I'm not trying to brag here. I don't know if this is true, but I suspect, because we do have one of these. I can't remember what the prefix is. 71, is it M71? We have one of these Valmet guns in 5.56 AKs, and we bought it some years ago. But even then, the magazines were kind of an issue because it used its own custom magazine, and we scooped up every magazine we could find. I'm not going to say we have the largest collection of Valmet magazines in the United States, but we've got to be in the top 10 for sure. Like, I don't know, we got 10 or 15 of these magazines, something like that. 10, 9, 10. I don't remember. I posted it on the website years ago. So I'm curious if are the magazines coming into the U.S.? Can you bring these mags in? I don't know. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Thought it was worth sharing. If you're a Valmet person and always wanted one, guess you can thank this small little company to having them put on the CNR list and get on Gunbroker and scoop one up. Okay, we're definitely rounding the corner ahead into the home stretch here, so we're going to pick up the speed a little bit. and just get through some stuff that I thought was worth mentioning. I've been hearing rumors about this for a while, and specifically I was hearing it industry news in reference to Mile High. I know that Mile High, they were the big Accuracy International dealer in the United States. Interestingly enough, like one of our local SWAT teams has a Accuracy International 50 BMG. It's what they use. They needed to buy that to meet the state's accuracy standards, and I am almost certain they bought that from Mile High. Mile High was the company that seems to be the biggest or only dealer in the United States for bringing Accuracy International. Well, I heard that Mile High and Accuracy International, something was going on there, and they're splitting up. And I don't know why, but I knew there was trouble. Or there was an agreement was coming to an end for some reason. I don't know if it was because the agreement just expired, or if the agreement is somebody was mad and they wanted to terminate it. But Mile High is moving away from Accuracy International, and sure enough, I've noticed they started pushing Steyr guns, and some of the Steyr guns are looking really interesting. Well, here's the other shoe to drop on this, and I've heard rumors about this as well. FN has purchased Accuracy International. Now, I am assuming that this is because the founders and owners of Accuracy International, they've been in this game for a while, probably want to retire. Like they've been doing this for a while, and they're looking for their exit. And I certainly understand that as a business person. So I don't look at FN buying AI as a bad thing at all. It's probably good for FN. I think it's good for AI. It's good for the founders of AI. And, there seems to be a lot of movement in this direction. FN, I'd say mergers and acquisitions. Ruger bought Anderson for their manufacturing capacity. Beretta is almost hostilely taking over Ruger. They've now come to a strategic partnership because they're trying to have access to the American market or other stuff for various reasons. FN has decided that they want Accuracy International, even though FN has a line of precision rifles, but they haven't really done a whole lot with that for a while, in my opinion. So I think maybe I don't know what that means for FN's current in-house precision rifle guns, but no one's gonna. You can't turn your nose up at AI guns at all, especially their switch barrels. I mean, they're the only people, in my opinion. Blaser was the first one that could really do super accurate switch barrels, and in my opinion, after them came Accuracy International. Now I think it's more common, like everybody's kind of doing it. But back in the day, man, it was like, these super accurate guns, you're going to take the barrel off of it. The people were like, you're smoking crack. Like there was just no way. So I don't know what FN's going to do with AI. Obviously, they're going to keep it. But I don't know what that means for their in-house precision rifle stuff. So, follow that accordingly. I heard this in passing. This is not a company I pay attention to at all. Kraken would know about this, but I guess Air Precision is either in receivership or chapter something. So Air Precision is in trouble. There's been more and more videos and tongue wagging about there's an aftermarket Timony trigger that is made for the Glocks. I guess it's for the Glock 6, Gen 6. And they're apparently NDing. They're having some pretty significant issues. And, that brings up a point. A lot of these manufacturers really don't like it when you F with their triggers, especially if they design the gun, because it opens up the door to a lot of problems and liability. Companies like Blaser, their trigger systems are basically closed. You can buy an aftermarket system, but it's basically it's a cartridge system. And Blaser even had a special one they called the ATZL Atzel trigger for like this. They measured it in grams, like this super competition trigger that you would put in these R8 guns, and they wouldn't even sell it in the U.S. You couldn't get it on the black market. You had to basically gray market into the U.S. to get it because of the liability here. Wilson, their new gun that they just came out with is, the Bulwark. I haven't seen the gun, haven't touched the gun, don't know anything about it, but my understanding is that the trigger system in that gun is a cartridge. You pull the entire hammer and trigger system out of the gun as one unit, then you put another one in, and it's enclosed. So you can't get to the sear and those surfaces, or however they're doing it. Or it's not a hammer, I guess it's a striker. But anyway, you get my point. So you can kind of see where, while certain companies do this, it prevents this kind of stuff from happening, like with Timney triggers or other triggers. Like there was a trigger some years ago that somebody made. What was it? Haley. What's Haley's first name? Not Steve Haley. Haley from Magpul Haley. I'm still finishing my coffee. He had come out with some kind of trigger for a Glock. I think it was called the skimmer trigger. And I remember, like, in certain circles, people were really shit talking, like how, like, that trigger was on the edge of function or on the edge of safety. If I recall, I could be wrong. Maybe they still make the trigger. I don't know. But, once you get, what I do know is this: once you get away from OEM triggers, you're swan diving into a world of pain and suffering, because once something goes wrong, everybody's running for the exits on it. No, the success has, success has 1,000 fathers, and, failure is an orphan, right? And all of a sudden, no one, Glock's name's on the side of the gun. Glock is like, fuck you, we don't want to deal with this. This isn't our fucking thing. Timney can say, you did something wrong, you didn't do this, you didn't follow instructions, you didn't use it. You're only supposed to use it for competition. I think the videos I'm seeing, there are going off in competition, but it is what it is. So yeah, note, not that I'd be something that I would buy, but note to people out there, if you're going to put a Timney aftermarket trigger in your Glock, I think Gen 6, I would do some Googling before you did that. Also, local interesting news, there is the MP44, the Sturmgewehr, there was a local sale for a semi-auto one that was made, and I guess the Mongo knew this, but it's a semi-auto stamped gun, and these came into the U.S. at some point years ago, or they were made here with parts, and some guy from Germany made them, if I remember correctly. But these have been around because people were like, where's the semi-auto MP44 from various companies, and no one seems to have pulled it off. There was a company that did it some years ago, and here's a reflection of the price. The one for sale locally, it might even still be for sale. It's basically what I would call Dayton, Ohio. It was like $23,000 for this semi-auto gun. And is it worth it? It could be. I remember when a FAMAS, semi-auto FAMAS, was $12,000. And I'm now looking and been like, man, I should have bought that. Or maybe now that they get parts kits in and, American-made receivers, maybe I should have bought that. I mean, it could be, could ultimately be cheaper, and maybe it brings the price down. Or maybe it makes the original ones more valuable. But that's kind of how the market works. So, yeah, that's kind of what's been going on in some of the industry news, either locally and around the world. So I'll tell you what, we're gonna I guess the blotter, I'll just go ahead and we'll skim over it real quick. A couple things I thought were interesting. There's a story of an old man who got pissed off at these kids running jet skis on some little private lake, and I think the kids were okay to be there. And I guess the kids were like injured, like they think the kid had a broken arm or something and couldn't walk. I don't know how they're riding jet skis, but this old man tried to drown one of these 20-year-old kids, or maybe the kid was a minor, and so he's up on attempted murder charges. I mean, just, jet skis are legal, and they're legal on this lake. You're going to try to drown some kid. Like, people have just lost, the amount of people that have lost their mind today is just, it's out of control. Then there's a story, just because the videos is incredible, and we have a lot of paragliders that fly around near the John 1911 range, and I've even considered paragliding, but part of me is like, they seem to crash. And I'm like, I don't understand how they're crashing. But anyway, there's a video of a paraglider. I think it's a girl. She's flying around. All of a sudden, this Cessna airplane flies right through her canopy. And I think she is able to cut away to, I'm assuming she's able to cut away to a backup. But it's pretty amazing video, and I'll put it on the website. And then the final thing, and this is a true story, and we'll have the link on the website. I guess a man had a shotgun in his car, and loaded and chambered, and had a dog in the car, and apparently the dog's running around, and the dog set off the shotgun and shot the man. So it's apparently a true story. The police have confirmed it. It might even be on video, like a gas station. But basically, dog shoots driver with shotgun. And they're like, wow, that's real. Yep, that's apparently real. So we'll have that on the website as well. So, well, this wraps up episode 405 of the John1911 Podcast. You want to see more stories, pictures, links, everything we discussed? Please go to the website at John1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com, where it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.